I just thought, if I'm gonna die, if I'm gonna kill myself, I should take some drugs, you know?
Personally, I don't think anybody should be doing drugs, kids or adults.
I've experimented with many drugs. I got out of it before it got me.
You gotta know yourself, and you gotta know your dope if you're gonna do that. Handle your business and be business-minded about it. Don't let it take control of your life.
We've been to the drug scene, man, and there's nothing like being straight.
Hi, I'm Kurt Loder. People love drugs, you may have noticed. Apparently, they always have. Starting with alcohol, the use of which dates back some 10,000 years, and running up through the discovery of opiates and stimulants to the latest designer psychedelics, drugs are an established and problematic part of the human experience. Puzzling, too. Why, for example, are some drugs, such as coffee, tobacco, and alcohol in this country today, officially okay to use, while others, such as heroin, cocaine, and marijuana, are deeply illegal? The reasons for these legal distinctions aren't always clear. But the consequences of crossing the line into illicit drug use are anything but ambiguous, as any number of currently incarcerated young Americans can testify. Those now dead, of course, from Jim Morrison to River Phoenix, are no longer able to testify to anything. Nevertheless, recent studies suggest that young people are once again experimenting with drugs in increasing numbers, especially tobacco and marijuana. And since it's often difficult for people to get straight information on this subject, we're going to spend the next hour taking a very close look at drugs, what they are, what they do to people who use them, and how well or poorly official government prohibition, the 80-year-long war on drugs, has worked. We'll meet a typical all-American kid whose enthusiasms include wrestling, music, and marijuana, and one of the many Grateful Dead fans targeted by drug police who's doing jail time for his involvement with LSD. We'll also visit a young woman in England whose life revolves entirely around her heroin habit, and a crack dealer from New York City who found himself forcibly retired at the age of 14. And we'll travel to the Netherlands for a look at some radical approaches that could become the drug policies of the 21st century. Through all of this, we'll try to determine why such high levels of violence are associated with the drug trade today, and why it is that young people feel a need to take drugs in the first place.
Most people go out and say, hey, you know, let's go get stoned or something. They think it's going to be fun.
Sometimes when times are bad, people, you know, turn to drugs to try to relieve the tension.
I think a lot of people do it for just to break the law.
There hasn't been any progress in the war on drugs, since the campaign started.
The notion that government can simply stop people from consuming substances that they clearly wish to consume was tested most extensively from 1919 to 1933, when the drinking of alcohol in this country was officially made illegal. And the result, well, the result of prohibition was instructive. People tended not only to drink more and more highly alcoholic beverages, they also tended to lose their respect for the law in general. As for the bootleggers and smugglers who provided all the illicit alcohol that fueled the jazz age of the 1920s, they tended, in the absence of sensible regulation, to grow exceedingly violent and vastly wealthy and powerful. The attempt to force people to stop drinking alcohol was one of the more catastrophically misconceived social policies in this country's history. With the failure of prohibition, the forces of intolerance turned their attention to another inebriant they didn't much like.
Thrill House Records at 30th and Mission is San Francisco's all-volunteer DIY punk rock record store, featuring the lowest priced vinyl in the Bay Area, specializing in punk rock, but we also carry hip-hop, soul, funk, R&B, blues, jazz, classical, and classic rock for the dads. And don't forget our sick-ass metal section! From the classics to all that unreadable logo crap, we got it all. But mostly punk. 7 inches, t-shirts, buttons, tapes. Did you know that tapes are cool again? Come to Thrill House Records! 3422 Mission Street at 30th. Noon to 8 every day.
you're curious or confused, get information or a pamphlet at most pharmacies or a health clinic. If you need help, see a doctor.
Hey, I'm Joe Bob Briggs, and in just a minute now, some goons in San Francisco's Chinatown are going to steal Kurt Russell's truck and shoot fire out of their fingernails and turn a whole heck of a lot of 30-foot somersaults in the air for no reason. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? I'm talking about Big Trouble in Little China with some of the best kung fu footage ever shot, also hysterically funny movie, and the second movie is Theodore Rex starring Whoopi Goldberg. We won't dwell on that, okay. Whoopi Goldberg on Monster Vision, I need a cigarette. Only kidding. Ted doesn't like cigarettes. I'm reformed anyway from cigarettes. I used to smoke cigarettes. I was an addict. I admit that, though. I was a miserable nicotine head. Two packs of Marlboros a day, but I quit. And I'm proud that I quit. Unfortunately, it was in the 70s when I quit, so I became a cokehead. But remember when it was cool to snort powder? It was cool. That's the only reason I did it. But I became a sniveling, paranoid cocaine addict, and so I got professional help, and I quit. It was hard. I was an addict, but I quit, and I'm proud that I quit. Unfortunately, it was so hard quitting cocaine that I started smoking cigarettes again. But this time I only smoked 1 pack of Marlboros a day, and I was proud of that. But I could see after a while that I was, I was fooling myself, because then I was a double nicotine head, and so I quit again. Unfortunately, I started drinking more and more, because, first it was just, just 2 or 3 scotches at lunch, and then it was 7 or 8 scotches at dinner, and finally it was 17 scotches, 7 tequila shooters, and vodka martinis, and a Coco Loco for breakfast. But for a long time, I told myself that I could control that, but the day came when I had to face the fact that I was an addict, I was a miserable, smelly drunk, and so I had to quit. So I quit. Then after 6 months of quitting, I got real drunk one night and quit again. And I was real proud of quitting the second time. But, it was about 3 months later that I realized how fat I was getting. See, I love chocolate, and I love food in general. And I'd go to Denny's in the middle of the afternoon and eat the whole left side of the menu, and then I'd go to Mrs. Fields' Cookies for dessert. One week I gained 30 pounds, and people thought I was dying of cancer. They thought it was medication that was bloating my body. I took down all the mirrors in the house because I didn't want to see the truth that I had become a 470-pound circus freak. I tried that ultra slim fast for a while, but I was able to drink 950 milkshakes a day, so that didn't work. And then finally I went to one of those obesity camps where they chain you to a bed and wire your jaws shut and beat the crap out of you every time you mention food. And so after 3 months of obesity therapy, I was cured. I was a foodaholic, and I'm proud I was able to beat that. And learning that I didn't have to be fat anymore made me realize what I'd been missing from life. And so for the first time, I stopped to smell the roses. I'd walk in the park every day smelling the roses. And then I started walking in the park at night, too, because the roses smelled different at night. And then I decided to start living in the park because I couldn't get enough of those roses. I had to smell roses at all hours of the day or night. And then one night I got mugged in the park and left for dead. And a few hours later at the hospital, I realized I had a rose addiction. So I went to this special 3 times a week therapy group for botanical addictions, and that helped a lot. And especially there was this girl named Teresa who first pointed out to me that I was addicted to addiction. And I loved Teresa for that. She suggested that I see a therapist about cutting down on my therapy sessions, so I received counseling for therapy addiction. And every time I went to a therapy addiction counseling session, I was able to eliminate a botanical addiction counseling session. And so I'm almost finished with the therapy addiction counseling, and I'm down to 3 botanical addiction sessions a week now. And now that I have more free time, I spend all that time with Teresa. And 3 weeks ago, I saw her 6 times in 1 week. And the week after that, we went to this resort in Colorado for the weekend, and last week I saw her 94 times. And in fact, just thinking of the name, I gotta go. Sorry, I gotta go see Teresa right now. Big Trouble in Little China, roll it. How'd I get off on that? I'm not really an addict, Sometimes a little heroin, but only when I'm depressed.
Shoegaze こすがりつき俺の心はレッドゾーン粋なキャットテールのミケコ踊ろうよ Please once again 振られた回数数知れずいつものサテンで管巻いてやっと射止めたシャム猫もほんの3日でグッバイだ粋なキャットテールのミケコ踊ろうよ Please once again 今日もかつぶしレストランミケコにタバコは似合わない歯の浮くセリフでどうもおちゃう恋はまたたびミステリー吸いすぎに気をつけるべきワンコのようにやたら尻尾を振るべからずフリースはヒゲ以外に塗るべからずやごとなくなにゃんとなけ舐められたら舐め返すべし舐めんなよ煮干し通りの吹き溜りそこの犬ころ兄ちゃんよ誰に尻尾を振ってんだワンパターンじゃ振られるぜ粋なキャットテールのミケコ踊ろうよ Please once again 粋なキャットテールのミケコ踊ろうよ Please once again
Thrill House Records at 30th and Mission is San Francisco's all-volunteer DIY punk rock record store, featuring the lowest priced vinyl in the Bay Area, specializing in punk rock, but we also carry hip-hop, soul, funk, R&B, blues, jazz, classical, and classic rock for the dads. And don't forget our sick-ass metal section! From the classics to all that unreadable logo crap, we got it all. But mostly punk. 7 inches, t-shirts, buttons, tapes. Did you know that tapes are cool again? Come to Thrill House Records! 3422 Mission Street at 30th. Noon to 8 every day.
Welcome to Roadshow Home Video. Before the movie, we'd like to show you previews of some of our films.
What are you afraid of? The black mamba, the deadliest, most aggressive creature known to man. It can move with incredible speed and is capable of launching itself bodily. It strikes without warning, it kills without mercy, and it's waiting for you. Venom.
Dino De Laurentiis presents Drum, based on one of the boldest best-selling novels of all time. Drum, searching from the high life of New Orleans to the slave-breeding plantations of Falconhurst. Drum, powerful, defiant, a searing spectacle of conflict and passion in the Old South. Drum, a sweeping saga of love, lust, and sensuality. Mandingo lit the fuse. Drum is the explosion. Drum, rated R.
You gotta come quick. You gotta come quick and get me.
You can't trust your mother. Your best friend. The neighbor next door. Pray it doesn't happen to you. Rabid.
January 1950, the biggest and the craziest robbery in history took place. The Brinks job. It was a crime that nobody in their right mind would go into. And nobody in their right mind did.
While you was away, I stuck up a bakery in Salem. What'd you get? $1.75 and 4 months in a camp?
Peter Falk, Peter Boyle, Warren Oates, and Jenna Rollins star in The Brinks job.
Frankly, no one thinks you'll pull it off. Who's no one? Everyone.
Error by error, blunder by blunder, they pulled it off.
That's it. Yeah,
The Brinks job.
For more movie previews, keep watching after the end of this film.
Foretold by witches, conceived through sorcery. Into an age of darkness, sacrifice, and plunder. There came the Beastmaster, born with the courage of an eagle, the strength of a black tiger, the power of a god. An epic adventure with a new kind of hero. The Beastmaster.
Welcome back to Night Flight's 3rd anniversary special. Russ Never Sleeps chronicled Neil Young's 1978 tour. Another concert film shown on Night Flight's first weekend in 1981 was Jimmy Plays Berkeley, a documentary capturing Jimi Hendrix in top form with his version of Chuck Berry's Johnny Be Good.
The Pagan Invasion is an explosive new 13-part video series providing a thorough behind-the-scenes examination of today's New Age movement and neo-pagan revival. Each superbly produced volume features rare footage from around the world, along with expert analysis by noted Christian leaders and authors. For more information, contact your local Christian bookstore or call 1-800-828-2290. California residents call 1-800-633-0869.
Hello, I'm Chuck Smith.
And I'm Carol Matriciana. Welcome to this edition of The Pagan Invasion.
Halloween is a festival that conjures up images of ghosts, skeletons, black cats, witches on broomsticks, and little costumed children scurrying about the neighborhood.
Trick or treat! Oh my goodness!
Castle Dracula, home for many centuries to a dreadful dynasty of vicious vampire ducks, the Counts of Dracula. Legend has it that these foul beings can be destroyed by a stake through the heart or exposure to sunlight. This does not suffice, however, for they may be brought back to life by means of a secret rite that can be performed once a century when the moon is in the 8th house of Aquarius.
Blood.
Oh, you get it! The latest reincarnation did not run according to plan.
In the heart of Transylvania, in the Vampire Hall of Fame, yeah.
duckula.
Thrill House Records at 30th and Mission is San Francisco's all-volunteer DIY punk rock record store, featuring the lowest priced vinyl in the Bay Area, specializing in punk rock, but we also carry hip-hop, soul, funk, R&B, blues, jazz, classical, and classic rock for the dads. And don't forget our sick-ass metal section! From the classics to all that unreadable logo crap, we got it all. But mostly punk. 7 inches, t-shirts, buttons, tapes. Did you know that tapes are cool again? Come to Thrill House Records! 3422 Mission Street at 30th. Noon to 8 every day.